Alright, hello. We're here with another ad nauseam video. I'm hoping that the sound quality is going to be much better this time. I'm trying out a different mic, so we'll see how this one goes. In terms of a deck list, I'm doing weird things today. So, an idea I've had in the past involves playing just a whole bunch of Laboratory Maniac effects in an attempt to go a little bit faster in matchups where we need to go a little bit faster, and have extra Laboratory Maniacs to draw in matchups where Laboratory Maniac is a good inherent draw. In particular, against matches like Humans, against matches like Infect, and with Humans on the rise after the last Pro Tour, this is the type of list I'm kind of interested in trying out. So this is what we'll be running first. The only other change I've made here is I'm running a Swamp as a basic land. I haven't really tried basic Swamp in a long time, but if you watched my previous league with sort of a more stock Jace list, you'll see that the game against Control, I really needed the basic Swamp. So I'm going to see if I mind it too much, whether it's too big of a concession versus other decks in order to have the potential benefit versus Control. So this is what we'll be trying out. Let's see how it goes. Yes, I'll maximize this. So I guess we could talk a little bit about how Ad Nauseam's position has changed within the meta in the past couple weeks, in particular since the Pro Tour. The data that came out on the Pro Tour has Ad Nauseam having the highest win rate, although given not with that many matches played, and it looks like we're into a match, so maybe we'll have to hold off on that for a little bit. I would like to play first. Let's see if I can make that. I guess that's already as big as it can be. So we have a white card, we have a couple lands, we have a Pact of Negation, and we have a Lotus Bloom. This hand is a keep. We do need to draw a black card, and it is maybe somewhat concerning that we have no filtering, but this isn't something I can afford to throw back. I'm going to lead on the Gemstone Mine here, and then suspend the Lotus Bloom, in the hopes that they might think we are playing Amulet. Amulet does sometimes play Lotus Bloom, although not as commonly recently. But it doesn't really matter since I'm not using the mana this turn. Depending on what they play, I might think about simulating out the Unlife next turn. Basic Mountain Pass is interesting. It could be Burn with an instant-based hand. It could be something like Mono Red Phoenix with a hand where they're trying to go all in on turn 2 or so. I think in either of those cases, I'm still just going to play this Temple of Enlightenment. I think it's important to get my filtering going. I don't need a second Unlife. I may regret this if they are playing like Mono Red Phoenix, and then I don't think Mono Red Phoenix plays Burning Inquiry. Burning Inquiry could make me regret, this. I think that's just about the only card that would. And even then, I could still draw into another white card, so it wouldn't be a huge deal. Hopefully my keyboard is turned down or isn't being picked up too much by the microphone. I think I tried to avoid that, but we'll see. So hopefully it's not too common at least. Graven Cairns, that's interesting. Double black suggests, okay, so discard spell. It's fine that they take Pact of Negation here because I'm going to get the Phyrexian Unlife down. It can only take an instant or sorcery. As much as people call Collective Brutality duress, it is actually not duress. Chalice on 0 is slightly concerning, but not that concerning. I have hopefully enough other mana sources to not really care about this. We do have a bit of an interesting decision here. Do I play the Serum Visions, or do I just play the Phyrexian Unlife? Perhaps they have another Chalice. Oh, so by the way, this is going to be that that black-red prison deck from the Pro Tour, I believe. I could play the Serum Visions, and then depending what I hit, potentially play the Unlife off of one of the Simian Spirit Guides. Or I could just play the Unlife and pass the turn. I think I'm gonna play the Serum Visions first, at least. So I draw Grace, Temple of Deceit, Temple of Enlightenment. I'm gonna bottom at least one of these, and out of those, it's going to be the Enlightenment, just so that I have better color balance. I think I will take. Will I take one more land? So if I were to play the Unlife off of... So I think I'm not going to play the Unlife this turn because I drew Grace, so I'm somewhat insulated against the discard spell. If I play the Unlife and then I have the two Simians, I'm live to start top decking a black card. But I'm not going to be able to do that until, like, I'm not going to be able to play that black card until not next turn, but the turn after at earliest. So the card I would be seeing on my scry with this temple would be the card I would end up drawing and not being able to play and having sit in my hand for a turn. So at earliest, I will be able to play the card I see from the scry, or the card I would inherently draw on the same turn. And since I get to bottom whatever that card is, the only way I'm punished is if the card is exactly another Scryland. If the card is exactly another Scryland, then I could have played the Scryland and then use that to see another card, and I'm essentially turned behind if I keep this temple versus not keeping this temple. But I think given that I have a Scryland in play and I just bottomed one, it's pretty unlikely to be another Scryland. So I'm going to top this temple, and then I'm going to pass the turn. One good thing about this deck is a lot of their cards don't do anything against us. So for example, Ensnaring Bridge is not particularly good against Nauseam, but some of their other cards can be pretty effective. Chalice sometimes is useful, but sometimes it's worthless. Yeah. Discard is obviously the most scary thing. They're playing nothing, so hopefully they have a hand full of like removal spells or something. Lightning bolts, you can have lightning bolts. I actually don't remember if it plays lightning bolts. We'll cast it. We don't really have a choice when something comes off suspend. Unless there are additional costs to be paid, you have to cast it. I'm going to scry before I just play the Unlife, so I have maximum information, and I will definitely keep a Spoils of the Vault. So now I can play this Phyrexian Unlife. And then I'm aiming to Spoils on my opponent's next, no, not on this upcoming end step, but the end step after that, and then win the turn after that. I'm under no pressure, so hopefully this will be okay. I'm also fairly insulated against discard. If they play a discard this next turn, I don't really care. The only way I care is if they play a discard the turn after, and it's like Thoughtseize or Collective Brutality and not Inquisition. If it's Inquisition, I'll be able to play the Spoils in response, go get an Ad Nauseam, and then the Ad Nauseam will stay in my hand through the Inquisition. So let's see what they do. I've already tanked a little bit on this decision. So they're fetching on their main, which is interesting. I'm not that scared of Liliana of the Veil here. I can just discard the Eagle's Grace, given that I already have a Phyrexian Unlife in play. The next turn I would have to discard a Simian Spirit Guide to it. It's not disastrous. scariest thing would be Blood Moon. Blood Moon would be a serious problem at this point. Hardcast Simian Spirit Guide is perfectly fine. And so we'll pass the turn, and I'm looking to spoils for Ad Nauseam on the end step. Notably, here I could have spoils for Ad Nauseam and then cast Ad Nauseam. And if I had exiled no Simian Spirit Guides, as well as not my Lightning Storm, I might have been able to win right there. But the thing is, I'm under no pressure, and I can always attempt to do that in response to something that would prevent me from winning, since it relies on Lightning Storm anyway. So that's an important thing about Ad Nauseam, to just not. But for example, here's something that forces my hand on the spoils, at least, not on the Ad Nauseam. Okay, so we exiled 8 cards, 2 lands, and a bunch of non-red cards and non-Jace cards. So this is perfectly fine. I can let this Chalice of the Void resolve. I could also just win on the spot, but there's no reason for it, I don't think. Moving to my main gives me a chance to draw a pact, which might be relevant, depending on what they might have. I'll take the damage from the City of Brass before playing my Ad Nauseam, so I don't take 1 pain or 1 point of infect, as unlikely as it is to be relevant. Okay, so they're just waiting to see my deck and then they concede. Excellent. So let me make this a bit bigger. Is this a matchup where I want to try my Laboratory Maniac plan? I think it's probably not, but actually maybe. Because they're slow, right? And they're looking to lock me out. They might not be able to pressure a Jace if I just like hardcast a Jace. And Leveler and Mirror of Fate are pretty good against what's it called? Blood Moon, because they're colorless. So as long as I get like a Laboratory Maniac or a Jace down first, I might be in okay position there. I mean, we're here to test things out, right? So let's test things out. I think Pact of Negation, probably not needed. I'm going to cut some cantrips, given they are playing Chalice. In particular, I'm cutting Slight before Serum because I have these Laboratory Maniacs. So Serum in hand is likely to be a bit better. Also against discard decks, Serum tends to be a bit better than Slight because it is safer to have your spells on top of your library than it is to have them in your hand. I still need to cut a bunch of other cards. So maybe I will cut... the Thoughtseizes still seem pretty good. I could cut like an Angel's Grace. Maybe a blue. Maybe one Serum. No, I don't like cutting Serum really. There's a lot of cards to cut. Maybe I'll cut the Echoing Truth. Yeah, no, against Chalice and Blood Moon. The Echoing Truth is too good to cut. Cut another Grace. Cut Well, let's cut more dead top decks. Let's cut Blooms. And let's cut like a Serum, a Simian, maybe one Adnos. Let's try it like this. Cutting Adnos in particular seems terrible, but again, we're looking to learn. We're not looking to win every single game. If we win every single game while we're learning, that's fantastic. But I play Moto primarily as a way of experiencing a bunch of different new situations that may or may not help me do better in paper tournaments and ledger tournaments. Unfortunately, it's going to be a while before I get to play another larger tournament. I think the next thing I'm going to be going to is the SCG Invitational. So this hand has some mana, it has an Unlife, it has a Mirror of Fate, and it has a draw spell, or a Serum Visions, I mean. So I'll keep this. We'll see how it goes. So they've mulliganed to 6 cards. That is nice. Interesting that we are still in London Mulligan. I haven't played any games since May 1st. I thought the London Mulligan was only in effect through May 1st, but perhaps I'm wrong on that. So Jace is a pretty decent draw. This means I might be, if I have a little bit of mana acceleration, I might be able to turn 3 Jace into turn 4 Mirror, or as it stands, I might be able to just turn 4 Jace into turn 5 Mirror. So if I keep these cards, next turn I play City of Brat, or I play Temple Serum, and do some filtering. The turn after that I play City, pitch a Simian, play Jace, and the turn after that I pitch a Simian and then play Mirror of Fate. So these seem like acceptable cards. We'll pass. Actually, I should not play the Temple before the Serum. I should play the Serum first because I already know I want the card. And it's possible that I would end up scrying 3 cards down with the Temple. I do need to play the Temple next turn though, because I need my next 2 lands to come into play untapped. This Phyrexian Unlife is a bit of a red herring. Unless it turns out that they disrupt our combo, in which case it becomes a relevant play, giving me the live out of top decking and ad nauseam. Their hand is somewhat concerning to me. If they've kept something with no discard, I might, and no Chalice on one, I might be reading this as a Blood Moon, which would be scary. Definitely don't want the Angel's Grace. I don't want this Laboratory Maniac either, which means that the Scry from the Temple of Enlightenment is going to get value by having played it after the Serum Visions, which is not the typical order you should play those in. Typically it is correct to play Temple first and then play Serum. I kept the Ad Nauseam in case they do end up finding a discard spell and taking like Jace or Mirror of Fate. If that happens, is this on my end step? No, it's on their turn 3. So if they end up taking, okay, that's fine. So now playing the Jace insulates me very well against Blood Moon. So there's no reason for me to mill myself. I gain no value out of milling myself. There is some risk that I give them value by milling them, but I think it is more likely that I mill a piece that I need than I mill something of theirs that they can make use of and I care about. So taking a land when they got stuck on lands seems like a pretty good thing to do. So let's see what they end up doing. If they play a discard spell, I just play an Unlife, because they have to take the Mirror of Fate. So they really need running discard spells. And they're going to lose to Mirror of Fate. This is going to be fantastic. I'm so happy right now. So I'm making sure to do this before I activate Jace so that I get to draw for my turn. So he's reading this, giving it a what the hell look. Set to 7. We'll hit OK. Now we'll draw a card and win the match, and that is the Jace plan working nicely. All right, I'm pretty happy about that. Let's go to match 2. So, oh, we already have another match. So the rise of humans is pretty concerning as an ad nauseam player. Now it is coupled to some extent with the decline in Death Shadow, which is nice, but unlikely sufficient on its own. This hand is interesting because it will let me, if I find a couple more mana sources, spoils for a Grace and then spoils away my library and then win with Jace. So I think that's a perhaps reasonable plan here. I think I will keep this. I don't think it's a great hand. It is pretty easy to disrupt. I don't have any fast mana. Drawing the Pentad Prism is actually pretty decent. Do I want a Pact of Negation? So next turn I play Plains, Pentad, Pass, and I have 4 mana. And then I play Jace. If I could actually, no, I can't. I can't Serum off the Jace. I think the Pact is actually too slow. I think I need lands to ensure that I have ways to play my stuff out. Because if I use both charges of the Pentad for blue, then I don't have 2 black for the spoils. And that's a pretty big risk. Interesting. So we'll see if they take Jace or maybe take a spoils. Or maybe the Pentad Prism. Okay, so they took Jace. And if they name Lightning Storm, we're going to be in trouble. And we are in trouble. I'm going to play a little bit onward just to not really give them any information and to maybe see if I get some more information out of them. But we are almost certainly dead here. So this is a bit unfortunate. Okay, so for example, we did get more information, namely that they are playing Lantern and not Whir. Although I don't think Whir usually played Glimmer Voids. I'm just planning to get a little bit more information out of them right now. So they're milling me. Bottom's 2 cards. Sure. Okay, so they're playing Karn, so we're getting even more information. Let's see what they wish for. Okay, so he's plussing, targeting the Pithing Needle. That's actually, I think, a very questionable move. Let's play a Pentad Prism. I know it can't be activated. I'm just playing things to make it look like I'm trying to flounder here while he plays out more things to kill me. I want to see what he's going to fetch with this Karn if it doesn't cost me too much information about myself. So for example, if I get Surgical, I will concede immediately to not give him information. But right now I'm gaining more information than he is by staying in this game, so I'm staying in it. Even though we're very dead here. Exactly, so I'm getting information about what he's going to fetch. Spellskite. Okay. Another Lantern. Okay. Part of the other reason to not immediately scoop to the Pithing Needle is to make it look like we have make it look like some other piece was more lethal to us, so that they might mistakenly prioritize a different combo piece. Or mistakenly prioritize a different piece of theirs. My phrasing was poor, but Codex Shredder. Sure. I want to see what they'll do with Karn. Sure, he's blowing up my Lotus Bloom. I'll take one more draw step. I'm about to concede here, though. Again, I just kind of want to see what they'll do. So they're milling pretty aggressively. Probably should have let me have that gemstone line. I want to see if he'll get something else with Karn, maybe. Exactly. Okay, so this is more information for us. Damping Sphere. Okay, so that's another target. So I'm going to concede here to make it look like I really care about this Damping Sphere as much as I possibly can. The Damping Sphere doesn't really matter. It's usually pretty bad against Atmos. But if I can make him think that I care about something other than the Pithing Needle, then my chances improve. So against a deck that is trying to mill me out, I really like boarding in 8 Laboratory Maniac effects. Slight is in general better than Serum against Lantern. And against although I still want to shave on my 1 CMC spells a decent amount. Because they do play Chalice, I believe. With Karn trying to lock us out, I'm interested in boarding out some amount of mana. And I'm okay with trimming on our primary combo here. This hand doesn't really do a whole lot. The triple white card is pretty useless, and the fact that I only have 1 land is also pretty useless. So I'm going to mulligan this. This is also pretty questionable, but I think I will keep it. I at least have the cantrip to try and set up my draws. And we'll put this Seachrome Coast on top, try and hit a second land. Basically what I'm looking for now is a Jace or a Laboratory Maniac. This is one matchup that is somewhat significantly affected by the lack of ley lines. Although Karn may change that a bit. I bottomed to the 2 lands because even though I do need lands to eventually cast this Leveler and Mirror of Fate, I think it's reasonably likely that I hit some more lands. So I'm phrasing that badly. So it's not just that I'm reasonably likely to hit more lands. It's that I also feel like I need to be drawing maybe either into a cantrip or into my Jace or my Maniac or something like that. I mean, I have the Simian, I have another land. Worst case, I can spoils for something that I need. I think just, well, maybe this was wrong. I think maybe just taking land drops is fine. I amend my opinion on that. I think I was wrong on that. Yeah, okay, so I think this was a mistake. It's interesting, he's aggressively milling. The Echoing Truth is kind of interesting. I'll play out the Maniac. Get it on the table, I can start beating in. Now I'm just looking for mana. Which is nice in that the lanterns let me potentially spoils to mana more easily. Echoing Truth is likely to be at least slightly scary for him, so we'll see. I have redundant effects here, so Outsies is not the worst. So I took spoils, the non-redundant effect, which is probably correct. Maybe we'll beat down with the Laboratory Maniac. We'll see. Karn, that's perhaps a bit scary. Actually, I think this is very bad. What do you get? Ensnaring Bridge. Interesting. So here I'll attack Karn. We're in very bad shape here, though. I think I maybe should have kept those lands. That might have been a mistake. Okay, so it's not worth focusing too much on mistakes here. So minusing with the Collective Brutality to kill that is interesting. Milling the Ad Nauseam is interesting. They should have let me have that. Surgically the Ad Nauseam is fine. I'm actually happy to shuffle my library here. My best draw is land. Echoing Truth is okay to have in hand. Given that they have Karn. So here I need to think about bouncing Karn. I don't think I can afford to do it yet. And here I actually think I need to keep the Simian in my hand and look to top deck a land eventually. This is putting me 3 lands off if I don't, and then he would have to top deck a Thoughtseize. Yeah, I like this better. I'm happy he's playing that and not wishing for something with Karn. Although we will see if he wishes here. Let's see what you get. Torpor Orb. Torpor Orb's interesting. Shutting off my leveler. Although if that's the scariest thing they can do, honestly, I'm pretty okay with that. So we'll discard Angel's Grace. We really just need land. And we're on a pretty fast clock. Oh, I'm dumb. I should have played... Well, should I have played the Landman? Maybe not. Maybe not. Because I need land here in any case. I'm pretty dead here, though. There's no way around this. Codex Strider, sure. Pentaprism is worthless against the Karn. I'm just playing it out so I don't have to discard it to hand size. The plan of milling someone, or of lanterning someone off of lands is a risky one. It can work. It's like usually not the safest option though. But we're beyond dead here. Crucible of Worlds, sure. We'll see if they keep trying to mill lands, that'd be interesting. So here I think I am going to Simian out a Maniac. I have another one, and if he trophies this Maniac, then I can just play the other Maniac and have another land out. My out at this point is to find a black land and then Spoils Grace on my upkeep with a Maniac out. But I've already lost 1 Spoils. My Adnauses are exiled. So the odds are not good. The artifacts are showed off because he has the Torpor Orb and then he has the Karn. And I lost my Echoing Truth, so I don't have bounce for the Karn anymore. I might be able to Lightning Storm to kill the Karn if it stays on a low enough loyalty. I need them to let me draw the next City of Brass, though. playing this out actually to maybe incentivize them to take down the Karn. Let's see what they get though. I need to hope they don't have like a good removal artifact. Microsynthlatus. That'll likely do it. Yep. Okay, so that with Lantern is already kind of a bad matchup. Yeah, kind of a bad matchup. And then coupling that with Karn, which is pretty annoying against us as well, seems pretty scary. I don't think Karn is that good in Modern in general, since the null route effect is not that strong. And the lockout typically comes too slow. Maybe there's a question of, is it too redundant to put like extra locks in your deck that is already trying to lock them out via an alternate plan? But maybe that is maybe that's like a strong enough side plan that playing it in a single card seems okay. I guess it can also get like a bridge or whatever, so it's serving as a tutor in that sense as well. This hand would be great, except for the fact that it has no lands, so I'm going to have to mulligan it. This hand is pretty bad, but I think I have to keep bottom the Lightning Storm. I will take a Phyrexian on life. Oh wait, it's not. We're not London mulliganing. Never mind. Of course they have turn 1 hollow 1. Why wouldn't they? Of course they have turn 1 double hollow 1. I'm not even surprised. It's just always how it goes. So, I play a land. They swing for 8. I play a land. They swing for 8. I'm at 4. I play a land and play my Phyrexian on life. So, I need to not get disrupted anymore, and I need them to have no other damage. I guess they could have a bolt if I don't use my City of Brass, which I will need to play my own life, so I can't afford to not use my City of Brass. So I think being at 3 versus being at 4 after 2 swings doesn't matter, given that I will need to play this on life off of the city anyway. So I'm okay with taking the pain here to get the slight in, to ensure that I just am able to cast this on life on 3. So hopefully they have nothing. That is not nothing. So we are going to be dead before we even get to play in on life. That's gross. I can pact the Rift Bolt, but then I just die. So my only out spoils into... Not spoils into... So I could spoils into Grace. Or I could try and slight into Grace. In either of those cases, I need to immediately get another land because this temple is going to be irrelevant. So basically what this means is I have to play the Seachrome. And I need to top deck another land the next turn. Oh, that's the out. I am gonna spoils into Grace here. I'm gonna do this in response to the Rift Bolt. Didn't realize Hollow One played Rift Bolt. Okay, Grace is just way down. So never mind. That was kind of disgusting. Alright, so I'll bring in some Thought Seizes, and Echoing Truth, cut Pacts, which are pretty bad here. We'll probably just do that. Yeah, we'll just do that. One of the nice things about Jace is that we can be a little bit more free in cutting our pacts in matchups where it's pretty bad, because we don't need to save one pact to like protect Laboratory Maniac from removal. Jace, by virtue of having 4 loyalty, is already clear of things like Bolt. I mean, it can get double bolted, but if you had 1 pact left in, then double piece of removal would beat your Laboratory Maniac anyway, so it's not a big deal. This hand has an Admiral and a Grace, has a land, a Pentad. The problem here really is my lack of mana. So the question is, can I keep this? I'm on the play, so I really just need to top deck a land. If I top deck land, I'm actually in great shape. But if I don't, I'm in pretty bad shape. Hollow in this deck would need to be fast. So I get 1 shot to top deck a land before I become on the draw. Then I get 2 shots to top deck a land. I have 19. I could also think about, in some circumstances, Simian Pentading. Like if I draw 1 land, I can Simian Pentad out of Jace and then try and Spoils Grace. I'm going to keep it. I think this is potentially a bit loose. We'll see. I'm considering Simian Pentading. No, I'm not going to Simian Pentad. If I Simian Pentad there, and like I draw a land, I get to just play a Jace, which is pretty sweet. Land, no, bloom. If not a land, that's probably the best non-land thing we could have drawn. I'm going to wait another turn before I Simian Pentad. Just have more cards in my hand, just in case something goes wrong. The fact that they didn't have a turn 1 play means I think they're very likely to have Goblin War. The fact that they're tapping 2 red mana also makes that kind of likely. Or they just have nothing, so that's pretty sweet. I could hold this Pentad in my hand still, just to try and dilute my hand against the Burning Inquiry, but they've definitely shown that they don't have a Burning Inquiry so far. So I think I'm okay with playing it out. I'm not completely dead to a Burning Inquiry either. If I keep like Jace Grace Spoils or Naus Grace, or even like Grace Spoils, I do have some game. Okay, so they're actually Hollow Phoenix and not just regular Hollow one. Okay, so we drew another Naus. That's good. So they I guess they did have a Burning Inquiry, and they were specifically holding it in order to try to bin Phoenixes. So maybe I should have read that from the fact that they I didn't see any black lands yet. I like that they discarded a Goblin War and a Hollow one. That's very nice. Hopefully they have to just like pass and can't do anything here. Or they just have Surgical for Admirals. Sure. In your mono red deck without discard, Surgical probably shouldn't be in their deck post board against Admirals. But I mean, sometimes you lose to things like this. We're not completely dead if we find a Spoils of the Vault or something to that effect. We can definitely win with Jace. So having Jace in our hand here is pretty good. I'm going to play this Jace and immediately start filtering if I can. I'm in a bit of an awkward spot there though with milling them versus milling me. think I will mill myself, given that the chances of spoils being lower down versus being on top are equal, and I think it is likely that they will be able to take advantage of the milling. So that was very nice. Now I just need to fade one more draw step. Oh, they have 2 bolts? I didn't realize that. They have 3 bolts. I wasn't paying attention, so now we lose. Well, I have any out. Can I spoil for something here? No, there's nothing I can spoil for here. Oh, we're dead. Are we dead? Yeah, we're dead. So that was my bad for not noticing that they suspended the 2 bolts. That being said, I should have just waited a turn to play the Jace. So that would have been better. We got nutted on game 1. Game 2. I'm trying to think if it's justifiable for them to have surgical in their deck post-board. I mean, they play Burning Inquiry, but that's the only way that they can ever do anything relevant with surgical. So I don't think that they should have surgical in. So it is a bit annoying to lose to that there, but I tend to not really tilt, but I do get a bit annoyed at opponents who make plays that are suboptimal and then get rewarded for them. Okay, so this hand, I have 2 blooms. This swamp is it's being terrible right now. Given that I replaced the plains, it would have been pretty terrible as a plains as well. I have these cantrips that I can't cast. But I mean, if it comes to desperation, I could try to like crack a bloom for blue and cast them eventually. I think I will keep this. Lotus Bloom is pretty powerful. They mult 6. I guess I should have also known that it was Hollow Phoenix by the fact that they had Rift Bolt and not that they had Rift Bolt game 1. I commented, I think, on the weirdness of Rift Bolt, but I didn't specifically talk about having a read on it being Hollow Phoenix because of that. So this is perhaps looking like Dredge, but it could also be Hollow One again. I'm not really sure where all this Hollow One is coming from, if it is Hollow One. It's just like an epidemic of Hollow One. I'm going to play 1 out first. Since I have to play the 2 anyway, they know I'm not going to find both off of my books. I'm going to play the Serum before the Slight because I already have blooms, so I'm not trying to Slight into a bloom here. Spoils is great. I think I'm just going to bottom these, try and go a bit deeper. I'm going to suspend the other bloom to maybe make them think I got a bloom off of Serum. I'm not really actually sure if there's upside to that, but probably. Street Red, so it's looking like Hollow One again. Specifically, the normal black-red Hollow One. I guess it could also be some sort of black-red shadow nonsense. Okay, so I lost a Simeon on life. I lost the Bolt Burning Inquiry. Okay. Mag Angler. That's fine. So another bloom is pretty bad. I'm going to leave it in my hand just as a little bit more insulation against what was I going to say? Burning Inquiry. Burning Inquiry. next turn, so I'm looking to play on life next turn, and then spoils into hopefully a win the turn after that. I'm playing out the Seachrome Coast, even though I have the mana up, and I could have played the Swamp for the Ad Nauseam, or for the spoils, because there's basically nothing they could do that would make me cast the spoils this turn. Even if they like played a Thoughtseize, I'm not casting the spoils. So I'm playing it on life next turn no matter what. And this way, I guess if I drew a third fast land and didn't want to play the Swamp or something like that, it's a possibility. A very unlikely possibility, because I think I would just not play the extra land. But we'll see. So Pentad, there's no reason to play the Pentad. Again, just insulate myself against Burning Inquiry as much as I possibly can here. Notice I've already bottomed a Spoils of the Vault with the sleight of hand that I played that took the Unlife. So this, or I bottomed an Ad Nauseam, so this Spoils of the Vault gets a bit worse because of that. My best draw right now, other than Ad Nauseam, would probably just be another Spoils of the Vault, because then I could Spoils for Jace, and then Spoils again. I have plenty of mana, so exiling mana is not a huge concern. Wait, what did I do? Did I just pass my turn? I did just click through my turn. I'm an idiot. So, I mean, they haven't done anything yet here, so maybe this is fine. I'm just gonna, I think, spoils for Admirals on the step. Because I have so much mana, the only real concern here is exiling Jace. As long as I don't exile Jace, I should be okay. I didn't, so that's nice. I could have played the Admirals on the end step here. It doesn't really matter either way. Interestingly, I would have drawn the. I know I wouldn't have because I played the Admirals. Okay. That was game 1, right? Yeah, that was game 1. So, what else do we have here? We can bring in the Thoughtseizes. We can bring in the Echoing Truth. I don't like the Jaces against the creature aggro deck. Pact of Negation is pretty bad against Hollow One. I mean, sometimes you can just get them with like a Pact on a Goblin War or something, but most of the time I feel like it's better to just rely on your white cards. This hand is great. I have redundant white card, redundant black card, and a bloom to accelerate out. I'm just looking for a little bit of mana, and hopefully this will turn out okay. Hollow One is perhaps my my biggest nemesis in playing Ad Nauseam. There was an RPTQ, an online RPTQ, where I started off 6-0 and then had back-to-back losses to like nut hand from back-to-back Hollow One players. I think in 2 of those 4 games I was dead on my turn 2, their turn 3, because they were on the play. Kind of like what happened in game 1 of the last game against Hollow One. So I do not like Hollow One very much, even though I think it is probably a pretty fine matchup overall. The Thoughtseize is a pretty good draw. I can try and take whatever their enabler is. So for example, I can take this Burning Inquiry, and then hopefully the rest of their hand is non-functional. They can cycle the Street Wraith, and if really needed, they can cycle the Hollow One, but this hopefully cripples them a bit. Next turn, I'm going to play the island. I'm really just looking for mana now. So my best draw is probably like a land. Or like a cantrip into a land would be fine as well. So they're probably thinking right now about whether or not they should cycle their hollow one. Oh, they drew a lightning bolt. That's irrelevant. Lotus Bloom is a pretty bad draw, but I think I am going to still suspend it here, given that their clock is pretty slow. And I might come down to needing that mana if I just never draw any mana. I can buy a turn with Grace if it comes to that. I say slow, it could dramatically speed up if they draw well. Like for example here, they're going to play that Gurmag Angler, I would imagine. Then they have a Hollow one and an unknown card in hand. They use the Street Wraith, they use the Wooded Foothills, and they're about to use this Gurmag Angler. Yep. So I'll take one this turn, they have another Flameblade Adept. Okay. So I'll take one this turn. Next turn, if they cycle the hollow one, I'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. So I wouldn't actually be dead yet next turn, which is good. Best draw is land. Alright, well that's best. So next turn, I have my bloom coming off. So playing the on life here is fine. Sometimes, even if you could play the unlife, it isn't the best idea to, because you might want to play the Angel's Grace to buy a turn and then play the unlife on the next turn. That's usually relevant against sorcery speed aggro decks, which Hollow to some extent is. Yes, they can have bolts, but sometimes it might be a thing where you have to risk. Okay, and you say, yeah, I'm going to play the unlife. That's going to buy me a turn. Then you play the Grace, buy a turn. Play the unlife the next turn, rather than play the unlife and then lose the opportunity to Grace because you'd already be in the negatives. But it looks like even if I didn't draw the land, or even if I didn't play the unlife, they wouldn't have been able to get through the Grace. So we're gonna win here. Thoughtseize for doing work. Big props to Thoughtseize. Hopefully they just concede and save us some time. They conceded the previous game, I think. Yeah, cool. Alright, so we're 2 and 2. Let's play the last one, see if we can claw our way back to a 3 and 2. It's been a pretty fast league. I guess a bunch of 2-0s either way will tend to do that. Let's see what we're up against. I don't love this hand, but I will keep it. I mean, it has the potential to be a turn 4 or a turn 5, because I have these lands. I'm just going to like play out lands and then play it on life. I could have thought about leading on the plains, but if I draw another fast land, then I actually do want to save this plains to be like my land drop on turn 4. Since if I draw like an Adnos, if I go 3 on life for Simian Naws, that'd be pretty good. Decks like Shores can also sometimes bluff other decks, although not particularly well. Plains would have bluffed other decks better. Like Block Nexus Ornithopter, so it's looking like Affinity. And it's hopefully looking like Affinity that didn't have a Inkmoth Nexus start, so that is hopefully good. I didn't draw another land yet, which is kind of scary. Bloom is late here, but I am going to suspend it. With Grace, I might be able to buy enough turns for that Bloom to be relevant if I just never draw another land. If they play something like a plating here, I will strongly consider Pact Gracing it. Best draw is still a land. I'm going to Pact Grace this. So next turn, even if I draw a land, I'm not killing them anyway. So what do they have? Counter Ravager, Bull, Messer Theorem. Yeah, Messer Theorem. Okay, that's like fine. The clock is still pretty slow. Best draw, again, land. Simeon is effectively a land. This is okay. So I'll pass. It does kind of put me in this slightly dicey situation of if I Spoils for Grace or Spoils for Noise, I can't afford to exile any Simians. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So can I go for it here? I think I have to go for it here because chances that they have Gallop Blast pretty high. On no Simians exiled. That's certainly Simians exiled. Simians were exiled. Oh, we lose now. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm just clicking cards. None of this matters. We're dead. Super dead. We don't like click through their attack step. Okay, well, we'll lose that one. Maybe I could have waited one more turn. Waiting one more turn would not have mattered there. Given the amount of stuff we exiled, I exiled both my Simians. So, I mean... Yeah, I don't... Even if I top deck a land, I still end up one land off if that's how that happens. So Echoing Truth, good. Thoughtseize, not like great, but Pact isn't great either. I'll bring in the Thoughtseizes over Pacts. We gotta win 2 against Affinity. It's fine. I mean, Affinity, I feel like is slightly positive matchup overall. Its hand is, it could whiff, but this is a snap keep. I just need to hit with my cantrips. I think I'm likely to, well, am I likely to win Nauseam here? This is a hand that doesn't actually care that much about turn 1 bloom because I have the Pentad already. And I have a lot of combo pieces to find. So not having the Scries be at the tail end of my comboing, I think is valuable. Okay, so the turn 1 Ink Moth is kind of scary. Hopefully there's no X damage. I'm going to wait a turn on playing this Pentad, again with the idea of just getting in as much cantripping as I can. I think that's likely too slow, especially when they have the Ink Moth. Okay, so that's good. I'll take a Naws. Now next turn I'm going to Gemstone, Pentad, Slight, and then if I hit a land, I win the turn after that. Steel Overseer is slow. I think it's very unlikely that they're able to kill me next turn. Very unlikely, I mean pretty much impossible. Make sure I don't click through my turn, thank you very much. Scariest thing they could have would be like Colored Source into Thoughtseize. That was an argument for sliding first. I perhaps punted that a little bit. Had I slided first, I would have hit the Dark Slick, and then I could have played the Dark Slick to play the Pentad. And then worst case, I just play the Gemstone and then play the Pentad off the Gemstone. That was definitely a punt. It might not end up mattering, but I just played too fast there and didn't take my time, and I should have taken my time. So we draw another Pentad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slight. Now I'm looking for another redundant white card or Echoing Truth. Echoing Truth will buy a turn. There's no need to play out the here. I'm just gonna Echoing Truth the Steel Overseers while I can. I could still be in bad shape if they draw like Colored Source into Thoughtseize, but that's not a Colored Source. Steel Overseer is back, and then we're gonna win this game. Okay, cool. Signal Pest. I happen to know an Affinity player who is a big fan of cutting Signal Pests. I think he's right. He tends to do pretty well with it, the deck. So now Grey Snow doesn't win. All 5 black mana in a display of power. Alright, we go to game 3. I'm just going to run back like his. This hand is fine. They've rolled 6, so that's good. Ink Moth to lead is scary. Bloom is less good than it would maybe first appear to be, since really I just need a black card. I'm going to bottom both of these. Since they had no fast creatures, if they have a fast kill, it likely relies on Ink Moth, so Angel's Grace isn't going to buy me time anyway. Scariest thing to see. Steel Overseer is fine. Ravager or even Plating are much scarier there. Plating is scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I will not be dead next turn, but it is close. I am dead the turn after. So I don't even get to play this this Penta Error. I don't even get to play that Lotus Bloom. I think I'm likely to lose here. Do I need this Pentad? So if I Secret out the Pentad, problem is I would need to draw both Gnaws and a way to accelerate by a turn. I think I'm just on 0% here though. Echoing Truth can't bounce lands. They should have tapped this Dual Overseer first. That was a mistake, because now I have the chance to rip Echoing Truth and then live. I draw Echoing Truth, I win. Well, I don't win, I need to find a black card, but I need to slight into Echoing Truth right now. I mean, I think that will seal my fate, but I keep sliding. See if I can, I don't know, spin modals long enough to do something. This does anything though. We're dead. I'll hold up the Dark Six Shores, but they're certainly going to just attack with Blading on the Moth. Alright, so we lose that one. Kind of an unfortunate set against Affinity. Face down some pretty good draws from the Hollow Phoenix and then Affinity. And well, I don't know. So 2-3, not great. I'm definitely not happy about a 2-3. I'm gonna actually turn around and kind of immediately record another one. Try and get some more Jace content up. So see you in a couple minutes.